Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Glad to be back.
Today we're heading back to a galaxy far, far away.
Always a fun trip.
Specifically, we're looking at Andor.
One of the best Star Wars shows out there.
Definitely up there.
Absolutely.
And we're going to be specifically looking at the budget.
Yeah, the budget.
Because some people have been saying that.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of money.
It is.
So we have two sources today.
Yeah.
We have an article from Forbes
Okay.
that really breaks down the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have a Reddit thread from Suffi-Fi.
Oh, cool.
It's talking all about it.
Awesome.
So yeah, Andor's gotten a lot of praise for just feeling really real and grounded.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best things about it. It really feels like it's...
Like it's a real place.
Yeah, like a real place.
And part of that is because they used a lot of practical effects instead of just CGI.
Right. And a lot of real locations, too.
Mm-hmm. And that obviously comes at a cost.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Looking forward to it.
So Forbes is reporting that Disney spent a whopping $645 million on Andor.
Wow.
Total for both seasons.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
To put that in perspective, some blockbuster movies don't even cost that much.
No, they don't. That's true.
And so it gets even crazier when you break it down.
Yeah.
So season 1 cost $271.6 million.
Which is already a lot.
Yeah.
But then...
Season 2 cost even more.
Even more.
$290.9 million.
Wow.
And that was before they even finished all the post-production.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So is Andor the most expensive Star Wars production ever?
On an annual basis, yes.
Okay.
So season 2 of Andor actually cost more than The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens in terms of like how much money was spent in a single year.
Wow.
To compare, The Last Jedi filmed for almost 11 months.
Right.
While Andor season 2 filmed for about a year, but they had a break in the middle because of the SAG-AFTRA strike.
Right. So how do we even know these numbers?
Yeah.
Usually this stuff is really...
Top secret.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually completely hidden.
Yeah.
But Andor was filmed in the UK.
Okay.
And they have a really interesting film tax credit system.
Oh, interesting.
So basically, imagine it like this.
Okay.
The UK government gives studios like Disney like a quarter of their money back.
Whoa.
As an incentive to film now.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like a rebate.
Yeah, like a rebate
Okay.
for making your movie in the UK.
Cool.
So to get this tax break, they have to file these really detailed financial statements with the UK government.
Okay.
And those are actually publicly available.
Interesting.
So that's why we know exactly how much Andor cost.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So that brings us over to Reddit,
Okay.
where fans are reacting to this news, and not everybody's buying it.
Understandably.
Yeah, some people are even throwing out terms like Hollywood accounting.
Right. And Hollywood accounting usually refers to when studios make their profits look smaller
Yeah.
than they actually are.
Right.
But in this case, it seems a little different because they had to report everything to the UK government.
Right. So there's a lot more transparency here than usual.
Exactly.
It's not just Disney throwing numbers around.
Right.
They're actually accountable.
Yeah, to a third party.
Yeah.
So
these numbers are probably a little bit more trustworthy than like your average Hollywood budget.
yes, I would say so.
Okay.
I mean, plus, Andor did use a lot of practical effects.
Right.
And they filmed on location.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that it would be more expensive.
Yeah. Like some of those shots of Corey's camp were so cool.
I know.
And those were all real sets and locations.
The costumes.
It just looked incredible.
Yeah. And that all adds up.
Yeah. It definitely had a very cinematic feel.
Yeah, it did.
So yeah, those decisions probably really impacted the budget.
I think so.
And that's something that we see in the Reddit thread too.
Yeah.
People are talking about that.
Yeah.
Like some users are comparing the cost of Andor to shows like Lost, whose pilot episode, like way back in the day, cost $14 million.
Right. And that was like 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, which even adjusted for inflation is still a lot less than Andor costs.
Yeah, a lot less.
So is this the new normal for streaming shows?
That's a good question.
Are all streaming shows going to start having budgets that rival blockbuster movies?
I mean, it seems like it's going in that direction.
Yeah.
It's a good question, though. Like, where is this all going?
It really makes you think, like, what does this mean for the future of television?
Yeah. Is this the new norm?
Are we going to see more and more shows with these crazy budgets?
It seems like it's going in that direction.
Yeah.
But, you know, streaming services are kind of in this arms race right now where they're all trying to, like, one-up each other.
Yeah, they're all trying to get more subscribers than the next guy.
Right. And having the most expensive show is one way to do that. But it feels like it's going to become unsustainable at some point.
Yeah, there's got to be a breaking point.
Yeah, we've already seen some streamers having to, like, tighten their belts and cancel a bunch of shows.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to walk this tightrope
Yeah.
where, on the one hand, they need to make these big, flashy shows that are going to grab people's attention.
Right.
But then on the other hand, they can't spend themselves into oblivion.
Exactly. It's a balancing act for sure.
Yeah, it is.
And it really makes you wonder, like, what do viewers actually want?
Yeah.
Are they going to get tired of all this spectacle
Yeah.
and crave more, like, character-driven stories?
Right. Or are they just going to demand even more from their TV shows?
It's tough to say.
Yeah, I think Andor kind of proved that you can have both.
Yeah?
Like it was this big budget show.
Right.
But it also had a really great story.
And it was really well written.
Yeah, and really great characters.
Compelling characters. And it still felt really grounded.
Yeah.
Even though it was set in this, like, crazy world.
Yeah, it managed to feel real,
It did.
which is, I think, part of why it was so successful.
Yeah. And that's what makes Andor so special, I think. Like,
Yeah.
it really pushes the boundaries of, like, production value.
Yeah,
But it never loses sight of the story,
exactly.
which is really important.
Yeah. But going back to the Reddit thread for a second,
Yeah.
there was another thing I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
Some people were really, really skeptical of these numbers.
Understandably.
And they were like throwing around words like money laundering.
Oh, yeah, I saw some of those. But it does highlight how complex these big productions are. There's
Wow.
so many different things they have to pay for.
Like,
Location costs, talent fees, special effects, post-production.
it's mind-boggling.
It really is.
Like, how much do you think they spend on a cup of coffee on a set like that?
I don't even want to know, probably a lot.
Yeah.
But the main thing is the transparency.
Yeah.
Like, we as viewers deserve to know how our money is being spent,
Right.
especially when it comes to these, like, big streaming giants.
Yeah, it's like when you go to a restaurant and you want to know what you're paying for.
Exactly. And if something's going to cost you an arm and a leg, it better be delicious.
Yeah. And with Andor, it seems like it was worth the cost.
For a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people really enjoyed the show.
Yeah, it's definitely sparking a lot of debate online, which is
Yeah.
good.
It's good that people are paying attention.
Yeah, it means that they care about the future of television. And, you know, as we move more and more into this era of streaming, these conversations are just going to become more important.
Yeah.
We need to think about the role of money in entertainment
Mm.
and whether it's actually serving the viewers
Right.
or just the bottom line.
Right. So where does that leave us?
Yeah.
And what does it all mean for the average viewer at home who's just trying to figure out what to watch next? So we've talked a lot about the budget of Andor.
A lot of money.
Yeah, a lot of money, and we've talked about how people are reacting to it.
And the fact that it seems to have paid off.
Yeah. So is this a sign of things to come?
Yeah, that's the big question.
Are we going to see more and more shows with massive budgets like this?
I think it's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen that just spending a lot of money doesn't guarantee a good show.
No, definitely not.
But in the case of Andor, it seems like it worked.
It seems like the investment paid off.
Yeah.
So do you think other studios are going to try to replicate that?
Oh, I'm sure they will. But I think the thing is, you can't just throw money at a problem and expect it to go away.
Yeah, you can't just like write a check and suddenly have a good show.
Right. It's about more than just the visuals.
Right.
It's about the story, the characters, the theme.
And the writing.
Yeah, and that's something you can't just buy.
No, you can't.
It's like building a house.
Okay.
You can use the most expensive materials.
Right.
But if the foundation is weak, the whole thing is going to fall apart.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
So I think that's what we need to keep in mind as viewers. Like,
Yeah.
we need to be discerning
Yeah.
and demand more than just, like, big explosions and fancy special effects.
So what can we do as viewers?
Well, I don't think we need to, like, boycott shows with big budgets.
Okay.
I think it's more about being mindful.
Okay.
Like, be aware of what you're watching and why you're watching it.
So be a conscious consumer.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like, what kind of stories do you want to see?
Yeah.
What kind of impact do you want your entertainment to have?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's more than just entertainment.
It's something to think about.
It is.
So it sounds like watching TV isn't as simple as it used to be.
No, it's not just turning on the TV and zoning out anymore.
No, it's not.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like,
Yeah.
we have more choices than ever before.
We do.
And we have the power to shape the future of television.
With our viewing habits.
Exactly.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the budget of Andor, what's the final takeaway for our listeners?
I think be curious, be critical, and be engaged.
Okay.
Don't just passively consume what's being fed to you.
Right.
Think about the stories, the choices, and the impact.
That's great advice.
Thank you.
So as always, we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Head over to our website or social media.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us know your thoughts on Andor, the budget, and the future of television.
All the big questions.
Yeah.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning.
Yeah,
And may your entertainment choices be both fulfilling and thought-provoking.
that's a great way to put it.
Thank you.